For this lesson, what we're going to try and do is actually we're going to try and first upload the metadata, and then when we're done uploading the metadata, then we're going to upload the file. And we're going to also give the name of the file. It's going to change. Instead of being the actual file name we have right here, it's just going to be a unique ID to identify that specific file. That is unique because it's going to be something we get from the metadata, right? So it's going to be the document reference ID we're getting back. That's going to be the name of the file when we store it. Let me show you what I mean right here. Step one, we get a file in right here, so we're going to use this method right here and start out by uploading our metadata. So let's just do this dot add file metadata right here. And how do we do that? Well, we need to create the metadata inside this method right here. So what do we need as metadata in my setup? Well, pretty much I decided right here that this is my metadata that I want to store for now. We can always add more, remove stuff, whatever we want to do, but this is the metadata I want. So step one, I want to put a name in there, right? That's going to be the file's actual name, not the ID, the actual name for the file right now. So for instance, in my case, it was screenshot something.png. That's the name of the file, right? We're going to keep that in the metadata because we're going to rename it down here into a unique identifier instead. Step two, what do we want? Well, we also want the type of the file, and we're going to get that again from the actual file right here. Let's just call it type. What else do we want? We want the size of the file. That's going to be a number, and that's actually available as well from the actual file we have. Should be size, of course. There we go. And the final thing we want is when was the file changed? Well, it has a better name, so we're going to change that. It's actually called file modified instead. Last modified, right? So also notice this is a number, and I don't think I put it in as a number right now, so let's see what happens. No, right here my last change is actually a date. So let's try and go into my file metadata and change that because I want to use the same name. So we're going to call it last modified instead, and we're going to actually make this into a number. Now this is a timestamp, so we can always convert it back into a date if we want to later, so it's not a problem at all. So now we have that available as well. And what does it say right here? Last changed, last modified, of course, because I just renamed that. There we go. So now we've all of this set up, and now we've sent our first request right here to actually go and generate the information on Firebase. In the Firestore, we are now going to store the actual metadata for the file. And that's going to return to us, like we have right here, it's going to return some file metadata with the actual ID for the new document we just created on Firestore. Sweet. So let's try and use that. We're going to say when this function is executed, we're going to pipe it. We're again going to change what we're getting back. We want to use that data for something. What we want to do this time is we want to use something called the Switchmap. The Switchmap is going to take the first request, execute it, and then unsubscribe right away. Destroy it as soon as we get some data back, right? And then we're going to switch to a new observable and subscribe to that one instead. Let me try and show you what I mean right here. The first one right here is going to return the file metadata for me. So let's say file meta, and we're going to use that file meta in here to actually store our actual document right here. So we're going to use this file metadata that we are getting from the first request. We're going to use that and actually use the ID for that file metadata to create our reference so we can store our file with a unique ID. Now, we also need to kind of explain to the system that we want to actually return this call. That's the difference between the map and the switch map. When I'm switch mapping, I want to return a new observable that's going to take over the role. So this observable is going to end, and then this guy is going to take over the role as the current running observable, if that makes sense. Let's just clean up the code a little bit. And right now we're returning an empty observable. We don't want to do that anymore. We actually want to start returning this actual observable we have right here. So we actually want to start executing the real request now instead of just executing a bogus observable like we did before. So let's try and see how far we can get now if we go and upload a file. So I'll jump back to my product list component. I have my upload right here where I upload my file. And let's just try and execute the code now to see what actually happens on Firebase. So let's jump into our actual product right here. I'll choose a file again like we've done so many times. I'll try and add it right here. And something happened, right? Because I hit a debugger down here. Yeah, I uploaded the file, it seems. Let's just continue. Let's see what happened. Jumping into the database first. Let's see if something new popped up in here in the database. It did. Something new popped up in here. So now we have the file available right here, the metadata, right? That's perfect. We got all we need in here. Let's try and go to the storage and see if our file was actually uploaded right there. it wasn't. So you'll notice there's nothing in here, no new file, and there's not any unique ID. Now the problem is, of course, that we forgot to subscribe. So the subscribe will execute the observable. So right here what I'll do for now is just subscribe to kind of show you. I won't do anything in the subscribe. I just want to call the subscribe, and then we're going to try and upload one more file, and then next lesson we're going to fix because we have a few things that I'm not satisfied with. But let's just try for the fun of it to upload another file right here just to show you that now it should actually work. I'll upload the file, and going back to my database just to see if the file actually got up there. You'll see now there's actually 2 files here, so a new one has popped up. Then let's check the storage to see if we got a new one in here. And there we go. Now we have the file available right here. Notice it's now a unique ID. It's not a PNG or anything like that. You still have, it's still a PNG. Don't worry, it's still a picture, but you can't see it right here in the name of the file because the name is now just a unique ID that matches the name you see right here. So the metadata and the unique ID are now available here, but the actual file is stored right here. Now, one of the cool things right out of the box right here is that if I wanted to change the name of this file, I just had to do it in here, right? I could change the name here without touching the actual file at all, meaning that if somebody is downloading this file right now, it wouldn't be locked. There wouldn't be any problem at all because the file doesn't know its name. The name is actually now hidden in the database. So that's pretty powerful. But there's a lot of things I'm not satisfied with right here, and there's actually a few bugs in this. First of all, if you noticed, I didn't have to subscribe to actually create the file in the database. That's a mistake. We need to fix that. We'll do that in the next lesson. And the second thing is, when I actually do subscribe, it seemed that I did get the file up there, but right now the data I'm getting back is not what I want. I want to get the metadata back right here. But right now what I'm getting back is actually some information about the file upload. So we need to fix that as well. But we'll do that in the next lesson. We'll extend this a little bit in the next lesson. Now you saw the first step where we kind of go and create the data, create the actual data inside the database. And then we go and Switchmap, change to another observable to actually store the file, now with a new name that was generated from the ID that we created in the metadata setup. So that's it for this lesson. See you next time. Have fun.